I'm Nikayla Carrillo, and I'm taking a look at the Japanese horror genre, also known as Nippon horror. Japan's late start to horror came with some disagreement. Some would argue that Tales of Ugetsu, 1953, was the first horror movie in Japan, while Onibaba, 1964, typically holds that title. Depending on your definition of horror, though, the first horror movies could be considered Shinin no Sosei and Bake Jizo, both of which were made in 1898. Though they were lost, the cameraman Shiro Asuna recalled them later. The Edo Gothic period started with films like Tales of Ugetsu that heavily influenced the horror genre by introducing the long, dark-haired, beautiful, vengeful ghost. Horror films in this time were often set in the past, honoring kabuki and no theater and the folklore that they portrayed, but they were also fueled by the unnerving change from imperial to democratic government. The 1950s and 60s also inspired a newfound fear, one brought by the Lucky Dragon No. 5, a tuna boat where over 20 men were infected with nuclear fallout on March 1, 1954. The men came home disfigured and extremely sick. Godzilla was created to showcase the unstoppable destructive power that was the nuclear bomb. This led to movies like The Human Vapor, 1960, and The H-Man, 1958. Matango, 1963, led to so many similarities to the Lucky Dragon No. 5 incident that it was almost banned in Japan. The late 1960s and 70s saw a massive change to the genre with the rise of the subgenre Pinku Eiga. These were very sexual and generally met specific criteria, such as having a certain amount of sex scenes, low-budget filming, and they had to be about an hour long. Sex and violence pushed the envelope during this time with movies about rape revenge and girl gangs like the 7-installment film series Girl Boss. They ran into the 80s with increasing violence, body horror, and Japanese splatter. Though Pinku Eiga was still around, it had lost some of its momentum. Guinea Pig Part 3, He Never Dies, 1986, was so gruesome and realistic it led to a court case to prove that no one was killed during the film, and was the first film to ever run into this problem. They started to see less success with the horror genre and a quick increase in technology. Tetsuo, the Iron Man, 1989, showcased the fear of being taken over by these advancements and revived the genre. The 90s kept the striking visuals of the 80s and spoke out on the change happening in their society, starting the golden age of Japanese horror. Most notably, near the end of the decade, one of the most famous J-horror films was released, Ringu. Not only did it bring back the vengeful ghosts of horror's past, but they made an international name for themselves as being masters of horror and inspiring a remake in the US. A few things heavily influenced the early 2000s. The fear of technology and Y2K, suicide, the ever-changing role of women, and the breaking down of traditional family roles. Japan had seen a drastic uptake in suicide since 1997, and films like Suicide Club brought awareness in a chilling, impactful way. More significant success in the West were movies like Ju-on the Grudge, which sparked another Western remake and several sequels. Modern Japanese horror is ever-growing and continues to reflect the country and the society. As long as they keep holding on to their unnerving, heart-stopping storytelling, it'll be here to stay.